Hello, hello. Welcome to Reading for Change, a collective journey. Uh, I'm Michelle Odom here in Brooklyn, New York, and I am waiting to see if I have company tonight for our discussion on Sapiens. Which is a New York Times bestseller. And the, review at the top says, I would recommend this book to anyone interested in a fun, engaging look at early human history. You'll have a hard time putting it down. That's from Bill Gates. It has certainly been a good book. It's a New York Times bestseller. Um, and let me just read some of these other uh, comments. Oh, here's Gio coming in. Barack Obama said it's interesting and provocative. It gives you a sense of perspective on how briefly we've been on this earth, how short things like agriculture and science have been around, and why it makes sense for us to not take them for granted. Gio, hi.
Hey.
I was reading some of the reviews. I don't know if you get that do you get that stuff on the digital versions?
Um, no, I don't think so. I
Wow.
haven't seen it. Where, let's see, what do we have? Afterward, acknowledgments, notes. Where did you see that?
I was reading from the back cover. Um, but there's also some in the very beginning. It says praise for Sapiens.
Okay, let me see if I.
Yeah, they gotta give you that part.
Hmm. No, that's not in the front. They have
What?
dedication and a timeline.
What?
Oh, let me see. What is this? PS Insights, interviews, and more. Nope.
Huh.
Oh, praise. Oh, okay. I see it. It's in the back.
Okay. It's in the back.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right.
Ah, okay. I'm looking at a couple of those. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, because that's a part of how the marketing of it, so I know they can't
Hmm.
let go of that. How you
No,
doing?
I'm okay. I'm okay. How are
Good.
you today? You're looking good. I like that blue.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mhm.
I feel pretty good. Last week I was telling you I did not feel good and I had gone to urgent care and then I was talking to Vanita a couple of days ago, and she said, you sound kind of chippy. You know? And I said, I do. She said, yeah. She said, oh, you've been on that prednisone.
Okay. Oh, is
I,
that the
I had
thing?
forgot what a wonderful effect it has. I'm not on it now. Unfortunately, it was just
Oh,
a 5-day course.
yeah.
So I finished it. But the symptoms that are not addressed by the medication that I take for my chronic condition,
Mhm.
my medicine does not help at all with my fatigue or my brain fog.
Mm.
But
Okay.
whenever something causes me to be on prednisone, clears it right up. I have mental clarity. I
Wow.
have abundant energy. And I just feel like my normal old self. Um,
Wow.
and when I discovered this effect, I was going around begging my doctors like a junkie, give me that prednisone.
Oh my, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Well,
And they
okay, let
won't
me,
do it.
no, because you can't be, it's not really good for you. I'm thinking about, so prednisone is normally given for inflammation, right? So if it's clearing up your brain fog and stuff, I think you need to investigate some of these mushroom. It's like a coffee substitute. It's mushroom. They call it mushroom coffee, but it's got a variety, like 4 or 5 different mushrooms in
Mhm.
it. And I tried a sample because the good stuff is expensive, but I tried a sample pack from Amazon. It's called Ohm, um,
Okay.
and just OM. And
Okay.
I put one of those bad boys in a cup of hot water because you're supposed to be able to mix it with anything, but it's a little grainy at the bottom, but just chug it all down. And I'm like, hey, wait a minute. Because normally, if I don't have my coffee, I'm like, what did you say? Don't talk to me now.
Right.
But that was
Right.
like, yeah, this is okay. I could deal with it. And so if it's like just a brain fog and energy issue, I'm going to
Yeah.
suggest you do a little research on the reviews on Amazon or wherever you and
Yeah.
check it out. Get a sample pack and then
Yeah.
see what one works for you. Because you can't be on prednisone for a long time. You'll be all,
I'm gonna do
yeah.
it. I'm gonna absolutely let me. I wrote it down.
Hey.
And I'm gonna say Geo recommends highly.
Yes. I'm like, because I was like, because I'm trying to remember all the mushrooms it had, like chaga, turkey tail, lion's mane, which is good for people with dementia. That gives you sharpness and clarity. And some other, I think it had like maybe 1 or 2 others, and they have like 3 different formulas. So I think one of them is immune support. So it just depends on what you're looking for. But that little 10 packs,
Oh,
I'm like, okay, this is gold.
okay.
I'm have
Okay.
to,
There's so much stuff out there if you know.
yeah, but
Yeah.
and you have to be careful because if you start, on this investigative journey, the algorithm gonna steer you some places you don't need to go.
Uh-huh.
Because
Uh-huh.
I mean, it's just so incredibly funny how monitored our lives are because
Yes.
we're so connected. So if you find a good source of holistic medical advice,
Mm-hmm.
even if you save it with the little bell that says "Alert me to everything," you ain't
Yes.
gonna see it. You better you gonna have to go
You
search
have
it
to
out.
you have to look for it. Right. Right.
Mhm.
Right.
So,
Wow.
but yeah, check that Ohm out or
I'm
something
no, I'm
similar.
gonna do that. I'm gonna do that. And I may have somebody next time I see you.
Okay.
Yes. but um but yeah, so last few days I've been feeling really good because of that, I guess. And and then the weather is
Oh, you
my
got some
kind of
nice weather?
weather.
Okay, good.
Yeah, we up
Mhm.
around I think 63 today here.
Oh, that's
A
nice.
little windy, but still a beautiful day.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's natural, or there's that, but I'm just gonna enjoy it while
That's
I can. Yeah.
that's right.
So, all right, well, let's go on and get started. I don't think we're gonna see Vanita tonight.
Oh,
She's still dealing with all
yeah,
of
her
that.
dad and
So,
stuff. Yeah.
um,
Hmm.
so let me welcome everyone to Reading for Change, a collective journey, cluster 4, where we are reading Sapiens, a brief history of humankind by Yuval Noah Harari. And as you heard from my snippets of the reviews, it really is a wonderful book. He has a wonderful sense of humor, history professor, um, and I'm sure they have a ball in his classes in Israel. You can learn more about Reading for Change on our Facebook page or our YouTube channel, or even our website called Reading Changes Lives.wordpress.com. It's not exactly up to date, but there's still stuff there, as well as stuff about the other titles that we have read under, including the Global Black Feminist Reading Circle and Revolutionary Love Leadership Series. I am Michelle Odom in Brooklyn, New York, and I am joined tonight by my
George,
buddy.
yeah. Georgette Moses in Columbia, South Carolina. Yeah.
Yay!
Yay.
You feel like reading the summary? We're on chapter 17, The Wheels of Industry tonight. You feel like
Sure.
reading, or I can read. I'm pumped.
Well, if you're feeling, lively and emotive, go right ahead.
Oh, all right. Because I wrote too much, right?
Oh, you did. Oh my goodness.
I did.
Oh no.
Let's see. And it's such a short little chapter.
It
And
was.
I got this long old summary going on over here.
That's all
Uh,
right.
um, let's see. Can you see the screen yet?
Yes.
Okay. From the early days of Homo sapiens, when humans themselves, as well as animals and plants, supplied much of the power needed to move objects, we have found that new types of energy and natural resources emerge from research and development. This is an essential element in economic growth and the subject of Chapter 17, The Wheels of Industry. While the pace of energy production was slow in the long millennia before today, around 1700, the start of the Industrial Revolution signaled a new dawn. Einstein determined that in our own uh, era, I should say, Einstein determined that any kind of mass could be converted into energy. That's what E equals mc squared means. And from there, it was a short leap to atomic bombs. The trajectories and our subsequent dependence on the internal combustion engine and electricity have been just as revolutionary. At heart, writes Noah Yuval Harari, the Industrial Revolution has been a revolution in energy conversion. Solar energy, nuclear energy, and even gravity and air offer numerous sources once we gain knowledge around how to harness and convert them to our needs. Within the last 2 centuries, scientists have enabled humankind to invent completely new raw materials, such as plastic, and discover previously unknown natural materials, such as silicon and aluminum. Human productivity has exploded with the combined effect of cheap, abundant energy and raw materials. Most profoundly, the Industrial Revolution revolutionized agriculture, and the vast increase in food production has taken an inestimable toll on chickens, pigs, and cows. Treating living creatures possessing complex emotional worlds as if they were machines is likely to cause them not only physical discomfort, but also much social stress and psychological frustration, the author wrote, drawing on work in evolutionary psychology. Pointing to the monkey experiments by Harry Harlow, Dr. Harari takes his time reviewing for the reader the basic lesson of evolutionary psychology. A need shaped in the wild continues to be felt subjectively, even if it is no longer really necessary for survival and reproduction. The Industrial Revolution has been so effective at increasing energy and productivity and moving workers from the fields to offices and factories, we have reached a point where supply has begun to outstrip demand. This problem has been addressed by replacing an ethic of frugality with an ethic of consumerism, something many humans have taken a great liking to. Consumerism sees the consumption of ever more products and services as a positive thing. It encourages people to treat themselves, spoil themselves, and even kill themselves slowly by overconsumption. Frugality is a disease to be cured. Hmm. Oh, those funny humans.
Mm,
We
yeah,
just can't get out of our own way.
I know, right? Wow. He just described the problem of the current human species on the planet.
Yeah.
We've been fooled into believing up is down and left is right and in is out.
I know. So you, what do you want to point out?
Um, hmm.
I know I'm on. Oh, you don't have the page,
Well,
but I'm on page. I guess 335 and 336 when he was saying human history was consequently dominated by two main cycles: the growth cycles of plants and the changing cycles of solar energy, day and night, summer and winter. When sunlight was scarce and when wheat fields were still green, humans had little energy. Granaries were empty, tax collectors were idle, soldiers found it difficult to move and fight, and kings tended to keep the peace. When the sun shone brightly and the wheat ripened, peasants harvested the crops and filled the granaries. Tax collectors hurried to take their share. Soldiers flexed their muscles and sharpened their swords. Kings convened councils and planned their next campaigns. Everyone was fueled by solar energy, captured and packaged in wheat, rice, and potatoes. And so my little note that I wrote was winter blues, because I'm one of those people that, really kind of suffers from seasonal affective disorder.
hmm.
And I've been doing better in recent years once I kind of self-diagnosed myself, um, in really making a conscious effort to try to get outside at least for a little while during the cold days. I hate it. I can't handle the
Oh
cold
no.
really at all. Um, but it has been important to really force myself to do. I guess maybe if I were rich, I'd have, some kind of special lighting going on here, but that ain't the
Yeah.
road I'm on.
Maybe.
So, so that's why I kind of connected to that. I can picture these early humans just like
They just trying to keep warm.
yeah,
Are those
yeah.
potatoes under the cupboard, Agnes? No.
And the kings being like, I ain't fighting you today.
Right, right. And and that is so interesting. And I'm going to have to go back and look at some of these military campaigns through the centuries. of course, the first thing that came to mind was Napoleon freezing in Russia, right? Siberia, because he's like,
Uh,
no, we're going ahead. And his troops, they weren't prepared for the weather. So that was a
yeah,
mistake on his part. And then
yeah,
I'm thinking about Hannibal crossing the Alps with elephants and fueling his troops with cocaine or whatever it was, right?
yeah, yeah.
And weather really being climate really being a key issue to whether or not these different forces made movements. All right.
Right.
So summer must have been a heck of an anxiety building time. Oh, we got our food, but somebody's coming to take it.
Yeah. Yeah, or even as we were saying a few minutes ago about the different mushroom teas and whatnot, and my issue with fatigue is an energy issue, you know,
Mhm.
and that's
Yeah.
why most of the time I'm around here like I can't, just doing basic. I'm so much better than I have been, in previous years. I'm so much better, but it's still an issue. So
Hmm.
so I'm totally relating as I'm reading the chapter to, yeah, energy is really really important to a lot of our existence.
That's true. Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. I
Indeed.
I mean, I guess we're really without it, we don't exist.
Right. And and then that brings up the uh some things still in this chapter after this where you look at the different dates that humanity discovered, oh, we can use this for this, and the span of time between knowing what the raw material, using the raw material a particular way, and then, oh, we can also use this over here, is quite great or and varied, right? The difference of the
Thousands of
time.
years sometimes,
Right,
right?
right. 600 or 40 years for something
Yeah,
else. And then he says something really that really just, you know, turned the light bulb on for me. And I think it had something to do with it's really about our ignorance. Let me see
yeah.
if I can
And
find
how
it.
to convert it.
Yeah, and how to convert it.
Yeah,
And so, we have a psychological barrier about a thing, and it's really illustrated when he says in the kitchen, you're boiling your pots and the steam is rattling the pot lid, and you think it's an annoyance, but actually that is a source of power. But you never think about that. Well, they
right,
didn't, right? So,
right. Right. And and that's the kind of thing that gives me hope about the possibilities for the world in some future era. And and that's really why I don't like us to get off on too much of a negative, no, things can never change kind of train of thought, because absolutely, I don't think we're going to see much change in our lifetime, you know, and it may be
right.
another century, 2 centuries, 5 centuries, 5 millennia, but we can't go on the way we've been going. There's too
Yeah.
much wrong with it. But is there something missing in our knowledge? Yes. Is there something we haven't figured out yet? Yes.
Yeah.
So that tells me we need to keep trying. We don't need to give up and decide that it's a done deal, because the world is always changing. It's just that you can't see it in your lifetime because that's not the rate at which
Right. And
it
and
changes or we learn.
and I think if you combine what the last two chapters with this one, you know, it's not scientific discoveries are not in a vacuum. They're affected by your political and social climate. So who knows what was going on, other things that were affecting the difference between 1,000 years, 600 years, and 40 years, right? Wars, stubborn kings, right? I don't know, a plague perhaps.
Yeah,
So and here we are. We have the same thing. All of these things going on at the same time, right? A virus, a political disruption, and war, right?
yeah,
Right? And oh, and religion, right? Religion.
yeah, yeah. There's we got a complex thing going on here, you know. And
Mm.
that's why I always say, I don't like to give answers and I don't like to listen to answers from anybody because it's just too complex. It's too
Yeah.
complex, you know. Let's let's and so when people stand up and are like, I have the answer, everybody just needs to do this. Stop it.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah,
Stop it. This is a complex problem, uh living together on this planet, you know,
Yeah.
without destroying it. Um we haven't figured out we just haven't figured that out. And it's not an easy, Einstein and all the geniuses can come up with, all the formulae they like, but they ain't got no answer for that. you
That's a fact. That's a fact.
know? you know. So I don't know. My instinct tells me it's just, you know, one step at a time, one foot in front of another, and taking a really long view of how change actually happens. Especially, I mean, our generation, we grew up in an era when it seemed like change was happening, all around us, and the possibilities were endless. We could choose to do what did Marlo Thomas say, be all that you can be.
Right. Everybody was that girl. Okay.
Everybody was trying to be that girl. Yes. And and, and here we are.
I know, right? Dragged back they try to drag us back into the dark age.
Yes,
Mm.
yes. And so, you can get demoralized and defeated by that, or, I think, or just see it as this is the nature of how humans go about changing things very slowly.
Yeah, in fits and starts.
Yeah,
Huh.
yeah. Oh, what else is in this chapter? Well, I know we're going to talk about the monkeys, but let me see what else there is before we get to the monkeys.
Okay. Um, let's see. Oh, huh. He says something interesting a little later that that during the Industrial Revolution, we came to realize that we are actually living alongside an enormous ocean of energy, one holding billions upon billions of exajoules of potential power. All we need to do is invent better pumps. So he's talking about the sun, right? And it just made me think about the solar panel, the solar energy, explosion, and how science, technology didn't catch, and it really hasn't still caught up, but they pushed it, real a lot in the front end. And it turned off a lot of people who actually invested in solar panels for their homes because it became inefficient. And then, for the last several years, it's become a, a area of fraud and misuse. because you
Really?
have right, you have a lot of fly by night companies coming, first they soup you up and show you a program. Yes, you're going to save this much money, from, and you can sell your extra energy back to your electric company. And no, that's not how it works, because if you put these thing panels on your roof, which they say that's the best place to put them, um if anything happens, it's your cost to remove the panels to get your roof repaired, right? Um, and if unless you have enough money to like pay up front for the whole installation and panels, you're you enter into an installation contract, payment contract that may outlive your time that you wish to reside in your home. And if you're trying to sell it, that's a negative, because the person who wants to take on this, something that is a liability, so right now the science, the technology has not made it a more easily transferable, reliable product to place on your home. And let me tell you, in South Carolina, when solar panels finally, there was a government initiative, right, to encourage this for the people. South Carolina blocked homeowners from actually getting that benefit because they allowed Dominion, well, it wasn't Dominion then, it was SCNG. They allowed them to dictate when and who would get, this benefit. And basically big corporations like Boeing got the solar panels and the discounts and the kickbacks, and little regular homeowners, they couldn't even afford it. They couldn't even get it. So it was really the big dogs laying down the rules for the rest of the folks. Like, no, you're not getting off of this yoke off of you. We're gonna say, we're gonna
Well, and
it's
I would
really
imagine
disappointing.
I would imagine that some of those big dogs would include the oil and electricity
Mhm,
companies.
mhm.
Um,
In the nuclear industry. All right, right.
yeah, any other source that sees the potential in solar energy as competition or a threat, as
Mhm.
opposed to something they want to get behind. Um, not that they couldn't, um, not that they couldn't eventually convert their own business into that, but this whole thing, you talked about the previous chapters, just thinking about all of the investment that goes into building one of these major, like an oil refinery or something, or an electric grid. um all the work that goes into making that possible, and then somebody says, well, why don't you become a solar energy company? It's daunting,
Yeah.
even for the
Yeah.
big dogs. It's daunting, and that's why the pace of change becomes so slow.
Yeah.
It's not that the other possibilities aren't out there, and good. Um, but this is the political side of how change happens.
Yeah. And I have to think that some of it was because it began during President Obama's term. And I think he had an initiative they invested in a solar panel or some kind of technology company. And then later it failed. And I'm like, well, what happened? Who picked these guys? Were they sabotaged? It seemed like a mess. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, our whole system is just so corrupt. Um, it's it's I don't know how we survive it really. You know, because it's we're in the pits with a lot of stuff. And when you started out talking about, this has been a source of scamming, for regular people. It's like everything these days, everything these days. Some of the service providers or whoever that want to try to get a hold of me, they get a little frustrated with me because I don't answer the phone.
Good for you. That's right.
I don't care what you call it about. I don't care if your name comes up in my phone. If it's not a person that I know,
That's right.
Ixnay, because I'm not going to spend all day trying to figure out what kind of scam is this.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
And
This is
obviously, we have become untethered to any sense of integrity or morality or any of that. So, okay, I just don't answer the phone.
Yeah. Hey, well, they mad at me too, because I also report them. I block them and report them. Yeah, possible scam. Oh, somebody else figure that out. That's what I thought. That was my opinion. Okay.
Yes, yes, yes,
Oh my
yes,
God. I cannot tell you the strange text I get. How are you today? After a unknown number rings me, I'm like, I don't know you. And then,
yes,
why is it you? You who you think I am? Susie Sausage Nose?
right.
I didn't see you. I don't know you, man.
Yes, yes.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, it's just I open my email and there's all these warnings from different companies, companies where, you're supposedly have some sense of security, but they're like,
Mhm.
just gotta let you know, we've been hacked.
I know, right?
Your shit is hanging out there.
I'm like, gee, thanks a lot. Oh my goodness. And now, which has opened a new industry for uh companies to go out and remove any of your public information for, of course, a subscription price. But I'm
Yeah,
seriously, thinking about it, because
yeah,
every day, like you say, there's a new hack revealed. But it happened back in 2019. Really? You done had
right.
my stuff that long, and now you telling me?
Yes, yes, yes. Oh, gee, this is the wheels of industry, right?
Right,
Because that
right.
stuff is big business. That scamming stuff is big business.
Yes, that's true.
And um, as he talks about in this chapter where he talks about being at this point where supply is outstripping demand. Um, then I guess it, 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 there's no legitimate way to earn a living that when if supply really is or does outstrip demand, then I guess people legitimately feel like, well, I still got to survive, so I guess I'm gonna have to scam somebody. They're not buying my products.
Right, right. Because, mm,
How much junk can they use? So that's
yes,
where
yes.
we are.
Wow.
That's where I did think about this little company that has gotten quite a bit of my money. Timu, have you heard of them
No,
yet?
don't do that. Oh no, they done got you.
They got me.
No.
They got me. Oh, it's like a
Cause you
dollar store, right?
yes it is. Okay, their products you don't even know you know, they've been caught with using toxic chemicals on their stuff. But their real goal is to get your information, to get your data. Okay. So they'll give you whatever, you in advertising. I'm like, I can't believe they're still allowing them to advertise everywhere when there's already been, quite a few investigative reports on different, platforms saying, watch out, this is a fraud.
Well,
Oh
they've
my
only been
goodness.
around for, I thought they've only been around like since the end of last year.
Well, yeah. There was another company, well, two other that were like them that were before them. And so Chinese, that copied the same, methodology, but it's about data, getting data off of your phone or whatever device you're using to contact them, to purchase from them or shop online. Because
Okay.
data is the new resource. That's the new economy, is your data. Um, so yeah. But they make the stuff look so good, but what you get ain't what you thought it was. So yeah. But we've been trained, right? Psychologically that we need to get stuff, right? To make us happy, to feel to support the economy, right? Like he says in this chapter, our system, our social economic system, because
Yeah.
frugality is something passe, and
A
you stingy.
disease to be cured.
Right, right, right. And I'm like, growing up, I used to laugh at my mom because she used to take the aluminum foil and wash it off, right, and fold it up. And we used to say, oh, well, that's because she grew up during the Depression. So, those are
Mm-hmm.
habits they learn. And now I
Mm-hmm.
find myself, like kind of doing the same thing because look at the prices.
Yeah, look at the cost of everything.
I'm like,
Right.
I'm not throwing, away this good Ziploc bag that I only had a couple things in. I'm gonna rinse that sucker out and air dry it and use it again.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I get
Yeah,
flack for that.
my mom grew up during the Depression too. She was born in 1933. So she
Mhm.
had all of those skills,
Right,
survival skills.
right, right. And learn and sewing, right? Sewing the holes that are in your clothes. I'm like, wow, why should I throw this away? I know how to sew. Who ain't nobody gonna see my sock. It's
Right,
in my shoe.
right, right, right. Absolutely.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, I was thinking about Benita through that whole section. Um, because she's very good about uh she's like a true minimalist at heart, you know.
Yeah.
And so I wish we could hear what she had to say about it.
Yeah.
Uh Converting coal, Britain, the world's workshop, Einstein. Oh, one of my questions was, what else could we do with rats? New York City has an oversupply.
Ah!
I have an oversupply of rats. I wonder if there's some good use for them.
Hmm.
Oh, solar, nuclear, gravity. I never thought about gravity as a source of energy, but it makes sense when you think about it, right?
Yeah.
Because if something is up here, it's gonna get down there with a quickness.
That's right. That's right.
And that's the energy. New raw materials, blah blah blah. Combination. All right, I guess it's time to talk about animals. Monkeys.
Mm.
Um, mm, what well, I guess I'll start by saying I do have some resources that I was going to share related to the Harry Harlow um, monkey
Okay.
experiments. Well, it's two short videos on the monkeys. One is the actual monkey experiment, and
Hmm.
then the next one is a modern video, which were the monkey experiments were done in 1958. Um, the year before I was born, but just to say, you know, what a horrible world they had going
Yeah.
on back there. And
Mhm.
and and then the other monkey video is a modern um, video by somebody called Psych, where they're making the point that into all probability in today's world, the monkey experiments would not be conducted because they'd be considered too unethical.
Mm.
Um, and I mean, we know a lot about the kind of experiments that have happened on humans. So,
Yeah.
just imagine how much worse it is for all these other animals.
You're right.
Um, and and then there's an article that um, gives more of the analysis of the monkey experiments and research that has been done since that time, and what has been learned from it. And one of the things I found interesting about that was they were making the point that until Harlow did those monkey experiments, apparently people, I guess probably white people, really believed that all children needed was, food uh, to develop into healthy adults, and that they didn't recognize a need for love or security or any of those things that I hope are much more widely, accepted today. But as late as the late 1950s, they didn't. Um, so there's an article that talks about that. And then there's a longer video that is just looking at cruelty in the meat industry, and it's
Mm.
focused on Germany. It's by DW. So I collected the resources, but I didn't get them shared. And so, we have a break next week. So maybe I will find the time and energy to share the resources. But did you look up the monkey experiments?
No, but I remember when we were doing medical apartheid, I think there was something in there about it. So no, I didn't look it up, but
Yeah, well, I knew I had seen this video before, and
mm,
I didn't think it about medical apartheid, but I thought it was because maybe when I read this book before, I looked it up. But you're
okay.
right, it might have been during that period too, because I had
Mm.
seen the video. It's it's pretty. It's just cruel. It's just it's just cruel.
Yeah, and then you bring up that they didn't even think that kids needed something else.
No,
What? So what were you producing these children for? That was just some more raw material, another
yeah,
worker on the farm.
yes,
What was that?
yes, yes.
Mm,
It's like so again, that's like a change in our consciousness that has, apparently taken a very long time to develop,
mm,
you know.
yeah.
And so we are, or I think we are in the midst of consciousness raising or change in consciousness related to the treatment of animals, you
Mm.
know. Um, I hope.
Yeah, I hope because I remember watching Food Doc Inc. back in like 2012 where they raised, the issue of the industrial agricultural, farming and animal husbandry and the problems that cattle ranchers were running up against and chicken farmers were running up against because they and it goes back to this trap, this debt trap, right? Because you have to get your stuff from the corporation. And then they tell you what to do and how to raise these animals. Or it's a big conglomerate that buys, has all the land and they're raising, the cattle in these unsanitary conditions and they're raising the chickens in these unsanitary conditions. And um when you understand that one of the points that they went into in the movie is that the trauma that these animals go through, right, living, which is against their natural nature, their tendencies, what the things that they need, engagement, psychologically, environmentally, being able to move about freely, untethered, being fed proper food and not their cousins chopped up and fed back to them, right? Um, all of that is absorbed by the meat. And so, you know, is this, a cycle, a cycle of trauma. We're ingesting this trauma through the meat we eat and continuing to create it through these industries. And how do we, break that cycle? Maybe if we didn't eat meat that contained trauma, maybe we wouldn't keep experiencing it and reproducing it in our own lives. I mean, it's something, to think about. But I
I
tell you, the
agree.
The one time after I had watched the movie, I said, "Okay, we're going to the farmer's market," and there was a lady there selling, farm fresh chicken meat, and I'm like, "Okay, let's get some of this." And I tell you, I cooked that chicken leg the way I normally do, and I'm like, it feels like it's still alive. It was really discernible between a supermarket, commercially processed chicken, raw chicken, and this chicken that had grown up free, really free range, not just, we let them out a little bit kind of thing. You know,
Really?
it tasted like a mussel. I'm like, okay, I'm not sure I want to eat this. It's good. It's better for me, but I feel like it was alive. And it just made me
Wow.
start to pause and think about what I'm consuming as opposed
Right.
to, okay, I'm going to the supermarket, I'm getting all this stuff, I'm coming home and I'm going to cook it mindlessly. And now just
Right.
thinking about, this is energy. And then it
Right.
also made me think about um something I'd heard about, I can't remember now, where, you praying over your food, the tradition of praying over your food. I can't remember where I read it, but the person wrote that it's not just, you're thanking your God for providing this meal or the hands that blessed it, but you're also thanking the animal that gave its life to give you energy. And I'm like, wow, that is deep. That is deep. That puts a whole different perspective on saying grace
It does.
over your meal,
I
right?
like
Yeah.
that.
Now you have gratitude and you are changing that flow of energy from just I'm a consume, consume, consume to,
Right.
thank you for this energy. And maybe you're kind of
Right.
transmuting it into something much
Yeah.
more positive in your life.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. And the thing is, I mean, we eat meat, you know, just just because we're conditioned to, just because, from the time they're grinding it up and giving it to you as a toddler, and giving you the taste for it. But without that happening, I mean, to me, that's if we really wanted to change the culture from being carnivores to herbivores, that's where we'd have to start, because that's what happens. You have to develop the taste for it.
That's true. It's cultural, right? What you grew
Yeah.
up, consuming. But but then there's this other piece about this experiment that was conducted about plants and them seeing another plant being chopped, cut, right? And then the person they attached electrodes or something to the plants, right? And the first plant got its leaf cut off. And then when the scientist comes into the room again, the plant that didn't get its leaves cut off is quote unquote screaming because it's anticipating having its leaves cut off.
And all right,
Oh
so
my
how
God,
did
I'm gonna
this
have to
screaming,
find that. I'm gonna have to find it.
yeah, how did the screaming manifest? What
How I'm trying to remember how they measured the the energy or whatever it was putting off that showed the plant was in distress. And then even the scientists coming in the room just thinking about cutting its leaves off produced the same reaction. So if you didn't think about it, the plant was fine, it was calm, whatever the meter was that was connected to it, was like level, it was good. I'm like, wow. So everything is conscious. It was basically what I got out of that. So
wow.
even if you're eating your salad, you better, what are they
Wow.
doing to the plant? Now you have to worry about, I mean, if you're going to worry, you have to worry about what they're doing to your vegetables before they bring them to you. I guess. I don't
Wow,
know.
Tim.
It's kind of crazy.
That's deep.
It's kind of crazy.
Wow. I mean, I can readily see how animals, especially other mammals, have a psychological life. Um, and it's not that hard for me to believe that plants could too, but it's a bigger leap.
I know, right? I know because out of sight, out of mind. In what you don't know,
Yeah,
you don't
it
know how to
makes
deal with it, right?
it makes me
Mhm.
wonder though, as the idea that he's developing in this chapter, that ignorance is the only thing that stands in our way of knowing how to convert one form of energy to something we can use.
Mhm.
And it just makes me wonder, when you throw the plants in there, is what other, obviously humans need energy to function. We all need energy to function. And that's where we get this drive to eat.
Right, right.
But what might be the best thing or the right thing for us to be eating? And is it just a matter of our ignorance that we haven't figured that out? And so we get hungry and, keep me in the room long enough with you, and I'm going to eat you.
Isn't that the truth? Okay. Isn't
you
that the
know,
truth?
and so, so yeah, we've got to drive to eat. Um, but given, like I have said throughout my life, I really believe I could be a vegetarian if I put my mind to it, because I've never really had a love of meat. I have problems getting enough protein to this day because I don't really eat a lot of meat.
Mhm.
Um, I've been doing pretty good though lately, because I've been doing the soy powder, protein powders, and stuff like that. But um, but I love vegetables. I've always just naturally loved vegetables. Um, and so I mean, I just haven't concentrated on changing my lifestyle from, meat being a part of it. But that's why I say I believe if I had just never been conditioned to like meat at all, uh it, it would have been okay. But now you talk about the consciousness of plants, and I have to wonder, well, how many options do we have? Because we're gonna need something.
Oh my gosh. Well, until that technology develops, we're just going to have to make peace with a feelings of gratitude. Thank you for your sacrifice, celery. And move it, keep it moving.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fascinated by these people that go on these long fasts. Sometimes just drinking water, you know.
Mhm.
Um, and I don't know how they do it, but I wonder if that's maybe really the ideal uh, 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 state.
Well,
Then we have to look at the pollution in the water.
yeah, there's so many things that can trip us up because of, I'm going to go back, capitalism. No, you know, and disregard for environmental factors. Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'd love to see that experiment with the plant if you can find it.
I'm
My
gonna,
goodness.
I'm definitely gonna look for that. Because when I watched it, I'm like, oh my God, now I gotta worry about when I'm walking. Because I got a greenish brown thumb. And plant, they got a picture of me on the wall, the what do you call on the garden center of all these big boxes, or it say, watch out for this woman, she gonna kill you. You're not going to
Your picture
survive.
can't be any bigger than mine.
Oh my God. So,
I have one plant. It's been with me for 9 years, and I
you
just love it because it loves me. And it
oh,
is the only plant in my life that has ever loved me.
oh my goodness. It's been hanging in it. That's a long time. That's a long
Through all of my abuse and neglect, it
time.
just keeps on coming.
Hey, and that's the kind of plant you need, because don't bring me no little soft like African violet. They ain't gonna
Right.
hang well in this house. I'm like, you gotta be where? I gotta water you in.
That's
Oh my
me.
God, I'm so bad. And I got these fruit bushes outside, and the weather's been so crazy, and dropping below freezing, and they give you a frost warning. You need to cover your plants. I'm like, oh yeah.
Not
Well,
today.
whoever the strongest survive. Only the strong survive. Y'all hang in out there. I covered up.
That's me.
Oh my God.
And I feel bad for my mother because she tried so hard to
Oh,
develop a green thumb in me.
yeah.
She would bring me cactuses. She was like, "No way you can kill this sucker.
You killed a
Watch
cactus.
me."
The cactus don't do nothing. I'm just taking my moisture out of the air.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes, I have taken out some plants.
We the plant kingdom's most wanted, right after
Oh,
Monsanto, eh? No.
yes. Yes. So, one of the things in this section that was striking to me was this idea of um, taking sex away from the animals. That just seemed like the
Mm,
height of some kind of sadism going on. I mean, I
yeah.
imagine the sex drive, like the food drive. It's just a drive. And so we need their meat so bad that we can't let them have the slightest joy in life.
It's just ah, when you think about it, in these kind of details, it really makes us seem like some kind of
Monsters.
well, yeah, yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
because
Y-
we
y-
gotta hurry up and get that meat.
right?
You know, I'm tired to be fooling around with you animals. I just, I,
It's it's terrible. Yeah.
it's really it's so ugly. It's so ugly. And then I kept thinking about it, and then he makes the point, just as the Atlantic slave trade did not stem from hatred towards Africans, so the modern animal industry is not motivated by animosity. Again, it is fueled by indifference. you know
Mm,
um but just throughout this section, you know I was thinking about how this was how they treated captured enslaved people.
yes. We're a commodity,
Yeah,
right? Hmm. Raw resource.
yeah,
We will process you. with
Yeah,
indifference.
yeah, yeah, because
Mm.
you're here to serve our purpose. So,
Yeah.
so yeah, this section caused emotional distress for me. And it also made me think about, so with the Harry Harlow monkey experiments,
Mhm.
um so he did two sets of experiments, right? One was looking at attachment to a mother figure, and another was looking at attachment just to all other monkeys. And the second one, when he kept when he would raise a monkey in isolation,
Mhm.
so they had no monkey friends, no monkey parents, no monkeys anywhere,
Mm.
and then let them out. When they got let out, they were some hostile bitches.
Yeah.
Aggressive, nasty, no social skills, you know, uh, uh, beating each other up, biting each other, all of that. And so that just made me think about how much of this they know, from how they've treated Black people, and
Mhm.
how they've treated animals. They know what the conditions lead to,
Yeah.
and then they want to talk to us about personal responsibility and all that madness, but they
Mhm.
know what the conditions that people are subjected to, what they lead to. Like if you think about prison conditions, they know
Yeah.
what you're
Yeah.
going to be when you come out of living under those conditions, what the likelihood is.
Absolutely. And no, then they have no incentive to change because it's profit driven. They need you to come back.
Yes, yes. And so how much dysfunction in our families and our communities is 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 just a clear result of the conditions we've had to deal with.
Yeah, that's right.
It's really it just really made me very sad, Gio.
Oh no, no. Well,
Here's a paragraph on follow-up research showed that Harlow's orphaned monkeys grew up to be emotionally disturbed, even though they had received all the nourishment they required. They never fitted into monkey society, had difficulties communicating with other monkeys, and suffered from high levels of anxiety and aggression. The conclusion was inescapable. Monkeys must have psychological needs and desires that go beyond their material requirements. And if these are not fulfilled, they will suffer greatly.
yes.
Hmm.
And I'm looking at the picture on that above that paragraph. And okay, I can see why the wire covered faux monkey mother
Yeah, that's
is
what
so
you'll see in
austere, right? Because
that's
you
what you'll
need to
see in the
know.
video. This is the first set of experiments
Uh-huh.
where he was just studying attachment, and the wired one only delivers milk. And so he would reach over there and get some milk. But the other one, which is soft and fluffy, out of an 18-hour period, I think he spent 1 hour going back and forth to get milk and
Mhm.
17 hours hugged up on the soft and fluffy one.
Wow. And
And
it
the
doesn't
soft
even
and
really
fluffy
look like
one,
a monkey, right?
it doesn't even look like a
It
monkey.
doesn't look
And
like a monkey.
couldn't couldn't even make him give him a brown blanket.
Yeah, yeah.
But the soft and fluffy one does not have any milk, and so that's where they started to develop the concept that maybe children need more than just milk.
Yeah. Which makes me wonder what kind of adults had been being produced,
Well, I
up to
think
that
that's why
time.
we have such a sadistic, cruel, narcissistic world, that there aren't enough people that have had basic requirements met for healthy human development.
Yeah.
We are manufacturing, we are creating um, emotionally disturbed people. Um, and then when you get to the next section where he's talking about overconsumption,
Yeah.
uh, and the actual intent of taking the ethic of frugality off the table and encouraging people. Consumerism encourages people to treat themselves, spoil themselves, and even kill themselves slowly by overconsumption.
Yeah.
To solve the problem of demand, of supply outstripping demand, that I'm freezing because I'm thinking about it's how the problem is framed. If the problem were framed not as a supply and demand problem, but as a problem of greed, as a problem of greed, then it gets you
Mm.
to a different answer. It gets you to an answer of stop producing so much shit.
Yes. And then don't tell us the lie that if we don't, if there are less products, this illusion of scarcity, demands that the costs of the item go up.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
which I can
We
translate.
all
Oh,
of
go
this
ahead.
ingenuity has delivered us to a point where we can feed the planet, we can clothe the planet,
Mhm.
our needs. We got this. So
Yes.
why doesn't that lead to, okay, so let's slow down. We don't have to work so hard anymore. We don't have to
Yeah.
produce so much anymore.
Yes. Yes.
That's why how you frame
Mhm.
the problem. So if the captains of industry see it not as a problem of greed, and we know they don't, problem of supply and demand. Well, yeah, that takes you down a different, you know, what are we gonna do about that? You know, we're gonna stop talking about the moral positive strength of a frugal character. That for one thing.
Right. Right.
We're gonna get those bitches some psychological counseling and figure out what the hell is wrong with you. You don't need more stuff, Geo.
Right. And now they have assistance from AI, popping up everywhere. We saw you were looking at this on that page. I found a good deal for you. You know you need this. You can get it. You can
Yes,
afford it. You can figure out how to get this.
yes,
15 easy payments of $9.99.
yes,
Because that nine
yes,
on the end makes it seem less expensive.
yes, yes. I see you left something in your cart.
Right, 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 right. Don't you want to come back? Don't you? Hey, it's about to expire. Come on now. You can get this. You can get it. No, man. As I look around my overcrowded home, that I was so glad, proud to get when it was empty and I could move around freely. I'm like, why I get all this stuff? I don't even use it. I need to get rid of it. And then on the other part of that end of that is they make it so difficult for you to downsize, right? Reasonably. I gotta make a call. I have to get an appointment. I need to drop this off there. No, you can't because that's an electronic. That's to have to go someplace else and you gotta drive there because we
Right,
ain't got nobody to pick
right,
that up. They make it
right.
so cumbersome to
And
be
it
a
used to
good
not be that way.
right, to be a good global citizen, a good citizen of the planet, right?
Yeah.
For the longest, recycling was an issue. Well, we'll take your paper, but we ain't taking no, your glass. I'm like, why not? Okay.
Yes.
You know, hey.
Yes. No. Oh.
Yeah, it's really crazy. It's really crazy. And we just gotta
And
get
then he had me
right.
laughing here when he said, uh, in the United States, even Memorial Day, originally a solemn day for remembering fallen soldiers, is now an occasion for special sales.
I know,
Most people
right?
mark this day by going shopping, perhaps to prove that the defenders of freedom did not die in vain.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh God, how stupid are we?
Very stupid. Well,
Oh,
we're just brainwashed, and as long as we don't have people understanding the history, of these
yeah,
events, well, what happened? It's not
right.
just the date on your calendar. There's some blood and tears and some stuff that went on
Yeah,
involved with this. Not so you can get that 85-inch television for
right,
$300. Okay.
right.
That you don't need because you already got a TV everywhere, including the bathroom. Oh,
Yeah. Oh, and then this part, instead of eating little, which will lead to economic contraction, people eat too much and then buy diet products, contributing to economic growth twice over.
right, right.
Oh,
And then throw in, the cosmetic, the plastic surgery industry that too many women are dying of, right? Well, get it quick and fast, right? Eat what you want and come to Sonobello to get that snatched waist. Like,
yes.
if you don't get off my feet, I don't care about no sex, bro. Oh my
Yes.
God.
It's some kind of insanity. It's oh. All right, this is the last thing, and then we're gonna go. I just want to
Okay.
read this paragraph. It's the next to the last paragraph in the chapter.
Okay.
The capitalist consumerist ethic is revolutionary in another respect. Most previous ethical systems presented people with a pretty rough deal. They were promised paradise, but only if they cultivated compassion and tolerance,
Mm.
overcame craving and anger, and restrain their selfish interest. This was too tough.
Isn't that crazy?
This was
Isn't
too tough for most. The history of ethics is a sad tale of wonderful ideas that nobody can live up to. Most Christians did not imitate Christ. Most Buddhists failed to follow Buddha. And most Confucians would have caused Confucius a temper tantrum.
That's terrible, isn't it? Oh my goodness.
Oh God, what is it? And it, and that's what it comes down to. That this stuff, this consumerism, is very seductive. It's very appealing.
Yeah.
It's it will have you in a trance.
Yep.
And if, as you said, if you don't know the history and you're not really, really woke, and paying attention um to all this stuff that comes at us, I guess you just will get into a trance with it. Must buy, must shop, must shop.
Yes. Yes. The
And we can talk
dopamine.
about the
Mm.
problem of uh, opioids and all of that, but there ain't a whole lot of talk about overconsumption.
Hmm. Oh, well, I'm kind of seeing a connection with all of that. Now that you mentioned it, that dopamine and when creating addictive personalities. You get it from buying, shopping. If you ain't got no money, no credit, then you're going to get the drugs on the street.
Mhm.
Wow. Mm.
So it's a short little chapter, but it's chock full of things we need to think about.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Greed is good. What is that? The Wolf of Wall Street? Greed is good.
Can you imagine? All right, Gio.
We gotta change the world.
Yeah. So, as I said, we're on break next week. And I was
Okay.
kind of looking at whether or not we wanted to try to read, you know, take this time and just go through the rest of the book. It's 3 chapters, but I
Oh.
decided I don't want to do that.
Okay,
Um,
you don't want to get ahead of the game.
no, I mean, because I told you I don't know what's happening with my travel plans right now.
Yeah.
Um, but it's about 60 or 70 pages or so. And I know Harari, just like I said, we just read 15 pages this week, and it has
And
so much that I don't want to give it a short shrift, you know.
gotcha. Yeah.
So
Hmm.
I'd rather just have us take our time and reschedule if we need to, and really really take a few minutes to think about the ideas that he's presenting.
Yes.
Um, you know, um, so so
Okay.
that means I will see you in 2 weeks, and we come back
Yes.
with chapter 18. Um, it's just the one chapter, right? Let's see.
Yeah. A permanent revolution.
Uh,
Okay, this sounds hopeful.
Permanent revolution. Yeah, yeah. Um, but I mean, we've got 3 chapters, 3 weeks left to do.
Mhm.
So, hopefully by the time we come back um, from break, Vanita will be in a better place
Yeah.
and can join us for the conclusion.
Mhm.
Um, but I have certainly enjoyed tonight and this book. I love this book. I love this book, and I don't. I wish I had had more energy as we've gone through it to really do the looking for other resources, the supplemental stuff,
Mhm.
um, because I think it lends itself to that, so easily.
Absolutely.
Um, but I'm just glad that we got to have some public discussions about it because these are real issues that are not this we're faced with so much stuff. We're faced, as Benita said, she wants us to do this special on election night. And, I mean, we know what a horrific year it's going to be listening to all of this madness.
Oh my goodness.
Um,
Yeah. Hmm.
so we have that going on. It's just, the world is just, you know, um, it's just so much wrongness going on. It's hard to know, really where to focus your energy. And just like he's talking about the emotional distress of the animals, we human
Mhm.
animals, get pretty
Yeah.
distressed with seeing our so much chaos, just so much chaos and cruelty and scams and just
Yeah.
bad news everywhere.
Oh
But
boy.
for me,
Yeah.
Harari is one of those writers that just kind of let you escape from all of that for a minute, and he's bringing you other problems, but they're different from the day-to-day stuff that consumes our sight.
Yeah. Well, I've enjoyed it so far, and um I found myself being able to make some connections um with what we found in these chapters and everyday life or historical events that caused me to look at them from a different perspective with more understanding and when I'm able to share them with other people, yeah, Yuval Harari. Oh yeah, I just read just read this. You should look at this, And I love being able to share those little tidbits because it causes people to think. And I think that's what's really missing in our world today is people not only having time to think, but be encouraged to think about it doesn't have to be a big thing, just a little thing that sparks you on a journey of discovery, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And
So
that's our positive note.
okay. Oh my goodness. Well, Michelle, enjoy your time off.
You too.
Um, get that mushroom stuff.
I'm
And
gonna
let
have it by the time we get back there. I guess I am.
all right, yeah, let me know how you liked it.
All right.
All right. Take
See you
care.
next time reading our
Oh,
story together.
yes.
Bye.
Take care.